Boom, here we are. What is going on, everybody? And welcome to episode 3. It's episode 3, it's week 4, but it's episode 3 of our breakdown of the Tuesday Night Contender Series right here on the Scrap News. Hello, everybody joining us. My name is Sergio Vicente. You guys might know me from the Fight Podcast. Check us out everywhere podcasting is available. But also joining me on today's show is none other than someone who is going to be on Tuesday Night Contender Series. In fact, he'll be on week 6. We're talking about the CFFC vet. We're talking about the guy who is joining us, like I said, on week 6 of the Contender Series. My boy, my brother from another. We got Paul Capaldo coming on the show. So give me 1 second. We're going to go ahead and bring Paul on. Boom, boom, boom. My brother from other people, the man, the myth, the legend, Paul Capaldo. There he is.
Yo,
What it
up,
do, brother?
How are
very
you?
well, man. Oh, man, loving life, man. How's everything going for you today on this Monday morning?
It's going good, man. It's going good. Can't complain.
About to say, actually, it ain't Monday for you, like Monday morning anymore for any of us. It's even noon where I'm at. So
yeah,
it
3
is
o'clock
what it
over
is.
here.
I'm telling you, man. Well, look, let's jump into it, man. Another great week of action. We're gonna dive into season, or should I say, week 4 of the Contender Series. Bro, 2 weeks away from your shit. I can't wait. We've got 2 weeks,
sir.
2 weeks and counting. So
Yes, sir.
we're gonna go ahead and talk about that. So let's do this. Like we've done each and every week. I want to ask you this before we get into it, bro. How are preparations and everything for you going? You are going at it this season, week 6.
Everything's going good so far, man. Camp feels good. My body feels good. So I'm a little tired from training and stuff, but hey, man, I can't complain.
Oh, dude, I'm sure, man. So, like, at this point in training camp, you're just like 2 weeks away. I'm sure it's kind of like, have you already kind of pulled back the reins a little bit?
Yeah, it's mostly just about cutting weight. Like, to be honest, I game plan training. I'll break it down like per fight, like how, or at least this is how I do it. I try to structure everything from like different fighters that I've seen in the past. And George St. Pierre is someone that I look up to.
Sure.
And preparing for your opponents, the later stages of camp, like the beginning, because the fight's usually 8 weeks. That's when you're preparing your basics, your strategies, and all that stuff, and just developing the style that you're going to fight and the way you're going to fight. And then at the end, so basics in the beginning, preparation mid-camp, at the end,
Right.
It's just about just making sure you're staying in shape and the weight's off.
Nice, man. So yeah, you're cruising right now. How is it for you mentally? I know you guys about to travel and stuff. How is that mental kind of strain for you at this point in time, if anything?
Nah, no strain, man. Never, no, there's no strain.
Love that.
For me, man, I'm just, I want to just fight and go home after. I just want to scrap, that's how it is, and that's how everyone, like, I think a lot of people think that, but because if I think about it too much, if you think about a fight too much, it's like, dude, up here, fighting's really big mentally, so it could screw people up.
Well, with that being said, I'll shut the fuck up then. It's cool.
Nah, you're good, bro.
No
You're good, brother.
So let's go ahead and do it. You know what? We do have people that have the mentalities of just scrap. And we've seen a lot of people in the Contender Series, especially this year. I feel like it's always been something that it's becoming more people going in there and just letting it all hang out. We're getting high-level guys really going after it. And last week was no different. So let me ask you this. For week 3, should I say, of the Contender Series, who were your standouts?
You get.
Okay, there you go.
Still got me. My bad. My phone.
Yeah,
I don't even know what happened there. So for this week on the Contender Series, one of my training partners, one of like my best friends, Santo Coratulo, is fighting.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, he's fighting this guy Kelton Rodriguez. And I think he's gonna, destroy him. I see some people are like counting him out or whatever, or he's like the underdog or whatever. But I truthfully believe that's because they don't understand how good he is and how hard he hits. So I'm really looking forward to him fighting. He just joined, so Santos fighting. That's the main fight.
We're gonna talk about him, but I'm talking about specifically last week. The winners of last week. Yeah, who'd you like? Because we'll talk about Santos in a second. Because I have some thoughts.
Yeah, I was jumping the gun. So last week, who did I like from there? Let me just bring it up. Who was this guy? I liked the guy Almeida. I liked
Yeah,
Almeida,
yeah.
and
Hey,
I predicted.
the one that we weren't together with, I got wrong. So you got
Yeah,
that one.
that's why I was bringing it up. Yeah, I called that he was going to submit him just from his grappling experience and him. If
Facts.
you look at his record, a lot of grappling experience. So he was the one I was most impressed with.
Mhm.
And it's funny because we actually missed a fight. We
We
missed
did.
one of the fights there, but in my
Luca,
notes, Luca, yeah, in my notes, I had him actually winning. So some interesting fights. But
who
I
stood
was
out
just
of
hyped.
anybody?
I think Almeida for me. I mean, it was
Yeah,
just dominant. He beat the Russian, and Russia. A lot of people that don't know these guys from Dagestan are no joke.
that entire part of the world. You got the Dagestanis, the Georgians, the Iranians, all of them that are starting to
Yeah,
come in now from that part of the world. Their grappling is next level. Is in every
I,
time. And
I
the
have.
cool thing
Yeah.
is, well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, no, I was gonna say one more. The guy Albert from
Yeah.
he's from Russia. We were both speaking
Yep.
about him. He made quick work of that guy.
Dude, and one thing I loved about him, because he was my standout guy. And
Hmm.
the reason that there are some guys that have that wrestling, and we even seen some of the American wrestlers that are going out there and they're great position guys. For instance, like even look at Kobe Covington. Not the
Yeah,
biggest
he's
Kobe fan, but one thing that he's great at is positional wrestling. He'll hold you down. He'll ride you out on the ground. He's not gonna ground and pound you. A lot of these guys from that Khabib style camp are coming out there. They're taking you down, and then they beat the shit out of you. They really
yeah,
just start pounding on you. And watching what Doriav was doing, I'm telling you right now, you can plug him into that top 15 right now, and he's going to
yeah.
put on a show. I don't know what they're doing, but like I said at the top, anybody who comes out here with that little beard and the bald
you
head,
know, yeah,
fam,
it's trouble.
you got to be worried. You have to be worried. So those from last week were great standouts. But like you said, let's go ahead and jump on into this week because we got another great card this week. And I think this week, kind of like last week, there's some parity. There's some
Yeah.
fights that we don't really know which way they're going to go. So let's go ahead and do this. Would you want to start at the bottom of the card or the top of the card?
It's up to you. We could start at either or. Yeah, either or. I have
Let's
notes on
start at the
all of
bottom
them.
then.
So
Let's start at the bottom and work our way up. So, opening the night off, we have Jacob Rosales fighting Victor Martinez. Okay, so Rosales is 13-6. He's fighting
mhm.
Victor Martinez, who is 12-4. This fight is going to be at lightweight. Look, this is a fight against a BJJ guy. He's a BJJ black belt in
Yes.
Rosales. He did lose to Justin James. But on the other hand, you have Victor Martinez, who hasn't fought in 2 years. And
Yeah.
you and I have been talking about this a lot. Bro, I am always concerned with the guys who just are so inactive. What are your thoughts
Yeah.
of this fight so far?
So I think Rosales, I mean, I was looking, he has experience in Bellator. It's
Yep.
funny, his Tapology picture is him throwing on an armbar to someone. Um, but for me personally, I think Martinez is going to win this.
Yep.
It's just because he's a finisher. A lot of these jiu-jitsu guys, they only have the advantage if the fight goes to the ground. If the fight doesn't go to the
Yeah.
ground and they're forced to stand, that's when it becomes a problem for them. So Martinez, I was watching some of his fights. He's aggressive.
Yeah.
He has a lot more
Hmm.
finishes with the hands at
Yeah.
least.
For sure.
So for me, and I didn't really know, like he trains with Diego Ferreira, legitimate guy.
Yeah.
He was
Oh,
a
for sure.
UFC veteran and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Diego Pereira's a badass. I mean, that he's
yeah,
a legit dude. Now, let me ask
yes,
you this. This is my question. Two of his stoppages, I'm sure you saw him on his record, were super fluky stoppages. He went
hmm
out there with some of them. I mean, one guy wasn't even really hurt, and the ref
yeah,
pulled the plug on the fight. And he had another one that was similar like that. So being 12-4, yeah, that's great. He hasn't fought in 2 years, and the fights that he has, I'm just concerned because
yeah,
it comes off as fluky, and I'm really a little bit off of the inactivity. Granted, he is on a 6-fight winning streak.
yeah.
Dude, I'm going Rosales on this one. I'm going
Okay,
Rosales on this one just because, granted, it's a slight favorite. He's a minus 140 favorite in comparison to Victor Martinez, who's a plus 120. It's a pick 'em fight. I'm going with a little bit of the activity. And granted, Rosales does get hit. I'm not going to act
yeah,
like he doesn't get hit, but he seems durable. He seems durable. The fact that he is one of the guys that is willing to go on the ground with you. And I've seen his fights, he's willing to mix it up a little bit. I'm rocking with Rosales on this one. Granted, 13-6 going into the Contender Series. I don't know. Like, I'm still like, if you're taking 6 L's in the regional circuits and stuff like that, I don't know. But I
know
do think he's going to win this fight.
Yeah,
so,
it's a toss-up. Hey, listen, I'm glad we have 2 opposite picks because we were picking the same people for a while, so it makes it more
2 weeks
interesting.
in a row, it does.
Yeah.
All right, let's move it and let's talk about something. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and tee this fight up for us. We have Clinton Rodriguez versus Santo Curatolo. So go ahead. I'll let you open this one up.
So obviously, I train with Santo. I've been training with him since the amateur days, since our first fight in the amateurs. And I just think he's going to be like a big problem for this guy, especially with how hard he hits. The guy that he's fighting, Rodriguez, hasn't fought in 2 years as well. It's been a little while since he's fought. I noticed it says that he's 5'6". It looks like he's a little taller than 5'6". I was looking at the face-off. He's very aggressive. He comes forward, but I do believe that will be his downfall against Santo because you really have to, dude. You really have to be careful because you're gonna walk into a punch. Like Santo has all finishes in all of his fights, all knockouts, 1 submission, and you really have to be careful when you fight him because if you're not, you're gonna walk into a punch that you might not think is that hard, but you're gonna get your shit rocked. So,
but you sound like you're saying that from experience. Like
Santo, dude, he hits mad hard. He doesn't hit like someone that's weighs 125 pounds. And like I said, I mean, like he's not the favorite in this fight, but these guys that pick the odds makers don't know. What does Floyd Mayweather say about people? You don't know shit about boxing. They don't know shit about MMA, right? They just go off of like records and all that stuff. So I think Santo's going to beat him and secure that contract. This guy, Rodriguez, his style is good. A lot of spinning techniques, spinning back kicks. But I think Santo has seen that, and I think that he has certain sparring partners, I'm not going to say who, but that emulate that type of style. And we've been drilling over everything that he does. So, I could really break stuff down into, how this guy, Rodriguez, fights. We've been watching. So I've been watching a lot of tape on him because I help Santo spar and prepare for him, and I know he's ready.
Well, I love that, and I appreciate your insight with this one. For
me,
me,
I'd like to hear what you say too.
Yeah, for me, I look at it like this, right? I'm looking at the 2 organizations where they come from. You have one guy who spent the majority of his career at Cage Fury. You have one guy who's been a lot of his career at Jungle Fight. I'll be very honest with you. I have not been impressed with the guys that Jungle Fight has been shuttling out there for the last couple of years. It is something that we have, I think we look at it. You remember the big guy that they had that looked like Conor a couple of years ago, and people were big on Jungle Fight. And then obviously with the Eddie Suarez and everything they have going on over there, it's fantastic. I'm looking at competition. Yeah. And when I'm looking at competition, just looking at the 2 of them, Santo has faced far better competition. And not only has he faced far better competition, he also trains with far better individuals. So when I'm taking all that, we're looking at iron sharpening iron. We have a guy who's coming off of a 2-year layoff. Dude, you can't make that up. I'm looking at somebody who is, again, training with a better team, fighting with a better organization. So he has seen the best competition in the world to this point in his career. And now he's going to go out. I think he's going to make easy work of this dude. I'll be very honest with you. This is one of those that I thought was one of the easier picks of this one. Yes, Rodriguez is the Jungle Fight flyweight champion.
Yep.
I don't think that matters.
And something too, and this is something that, only people in the inn know. I know a lot of people that have fought for Jungle Fight and stuff like that. They don't drug test. So just want to point that out there. Some of the Brazilian promotions are a little bit sketchy, and that's all I'm saying. Not making any claims on him or anything like that, but a lot of these promotions in other countries, my friends in Russia and a lot of people don't like fighting in them because they don't drug test, and chances are the guys that you're fighting are going to be on steroids. So
and also, where was I looking? Okay, never mind. This is the next one, but he's another one. that if you're looking at the opponents that he's facing, they have a losing record also. I'm talking about in Rodriguez as well. So I look at this fight. I think Santos is going to cruise, and I do think that he'll end up getting a contract on this one. And I'm seeing that somebody just said it. Yep, CFFC fighters are doing incredible during the contender series this year. Absolutely. So, yeah, congrats to her last week. And we're seeing these fighters really coming into their own. But also, if we're looking historically, CFFC actually has champions in the UFC. We're seeing guys that have come from that type of that area of the world and that the country, shall I say, and dominating. It is one of the best promotions in all the regional circuits, no matter where you are. CFFC, LFA, I think we have to say are at the very top, especially here in the States.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything else you want to say about this fight?
Nope. Santo by finish.
Santo by finish. I second that one. We're in agreement on that one. All right. Next fight we have this is at featherweight. We have Steve Nugent versus Theo these Thai last names are killing me.
Yeah, Rayon.
So Theo Rayon. Now, granted, Theo Rayon is from the Carolinas, so he's from here anyways. But I'll say this: we have Steve Nugent, who his only loss was at the Contender Series in 2019. That was his only loss. And if you don't remember, that's the one where Dana White was famously saying after that big flying knee of Alan Cruz, that was pretty much like, yo, you can sign. So it's one of those great fights. I can't wait to see this one. But this is also one of those things. I think this fight is set up for Steve to win.
Yeah,
I think it's set up for him to win this fight because if we're looking at Theo, I'm looking at Theo in terms of this. One, he fights in Ultimate Battlegrounds. Let's be very clear. One of the worst regional promotions out there. There's not a lot of talent out there. And again, I'm not knocking anybody that's in it. If you're fighting for that promotion, salute to you. You got to start somewhere. I appreciate it. But if we're talking about talent-wise and what's been happening historically, that's not it, right?
Yeah,
so I'm looking at that. You're right. So I'm looking at that. I mean, even for yourself, I'm sure if you see somebody on your record who's fought in that one, you're like, oh, I'm going to dust this dude. He hasn't fought anywhere. So I'm looking at that. I'm also looking at his height. He's only 5'6". He's going out there. He's not as tall, man. And look at his opponent's record. His opponent's record, yes, he's 5-0, but his opponent's records are 14-25. It's not quite Tommy Fury, but it's pretty bad. So with all that being said, you got a guy he won his LFA debut. You have a guy who is a Fortis MMA guy, and I love what everything is going on in Fortis MMA. I think they're one of the best teams in MMA. I got to go with Steve.
Yeah, and to second what you said, I mean, I don't know who's making these matchups because, some of these guys are really getting, like, really, really, really easy fights. This guy's 5-0, and he's fought his last fight. The guy was 4-3. Then it was 5-7. Then it was 3-11. Then 0-1. And in the beginning, you don't really fight guys, like too experienced or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I don't even understand how this guy got on the Contender Series. Katie's saying, I see that Mick and Sean make them. They're setting him up, and it's kind of like. I don't want to say it's just annoying because, dude, you see these people that get this opportunity on this show, and it's like I know guys that I train with that would kill for an opportunity to be on this show, and they have, and this is nothing against him, it's who you fight is who you fight, and you take whatever opportunity you could get.
Absolutely.
I think this guy Steven's going to knock him out, but I mean, it's kind of just, it's a little silly because this guy hasn't fought anyone. I mean, he's 5-0, but really. And you got to think too, for Theo, let's say he does get the contract. Do you really want to be one of those guys that fights one or two in the UFC and then you're out because you're only 5-0. You don't really have that much experience, and I'm
glad you brought that up, man. It does bring one of those things. It's like you're looking at. I think Patty Harrington did it great. Right, Patty went out there. They tried to bring him to the UFC for a long time. He continued to say no until he felt that he was ready. He went out there at Cage Warriors. That's an amazing organization. Got a lot of amazing experience, and now he's ready. Now, granted, how long is he gonna last? I don't know. I think he fights with his chin way too far up in the air, especially in that weight class. I only see him winning maybe one more before he starts getting rocked. That's just me. I'm just
His
keeping it a
hair's
bean.
his hair's mad funny.
Oh, yeah. My man looks like, he's part of the Beatles or some shit. But I think he did it the right way. So we're seeing some of these guys like, what is it for you, in your opinion, what's a better move, right? Would you prefer sitting back, getting this opportunity when you know you're about to face somebody that you can just dust, but you might not be quite ready for the UFC, or, taking your time, pushing it off maybe a little longer than you may want to, but knowing in your heart of hearts that you're legitimately ready. Jiri Petroska also did that. He did that over with Risen. Took his time, did his thing, won the title, defended his title, fought some great guys, got to beat a couple UFC vets, and then came over, and now we're seeing what he's doing now. Do you think there's a difference? Do you think it matters?
So, it's tough because, if you're in the position where you have the opportunity, it's very appealing. And, this sport this is a crazy sport, especially with the UFC and stuff like that. Your career could end your next fight. You know what I mean? Like, and not only that, everything is kind of uncertain in this career. When I first started, I could have fought once and I could have got a very serious injury, and that could have been that. So with that being said, I think any opportunity that you get, you should jump on it. And, in some cases too, these guys, like, not these guys or anyone on the card, I'm not going to say any names or nothing, but some people know that they're never going to be a champ. Yeah, nah, I don't even know who, but some people know that they're not ever going to be a champion in the UFC. You know what I mean? Like, some people, they fight and they have no intentions of being a champion for the UFC. They want to get there. They want to be there. It's like notoriety. You're in the UFC, you're a UFC fighter. Life changes, quote unquote. It doesn't, but it does.
Not if you get a. Hey, look, I've seen way too many like 2 and 2s for it to be life changing. I'm sorry to tell y'all this.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying. So I think, any opportunity that people could get, take advantage of it, because honestly, you never know. I think a big problem with the UFC today is, and if you look, a lot of their top prospects, if you look at boxing, they build these guys up. They build them up, and this is kind of what I'm going to say about this next fight that we're going to go over.
Yeah. What a segue.
Yeah. But they build them up, right? You build them up, and they're 30-0, right? Before they fight championship fights. The UFC, for some reason, trying to say this in like the most respectful way, but they don't really care about doing that. You know what I mean? It's kind of like they want you to
sink or swim.
Sink or swim, and there's no building people up, like, kind of, unless they like you. Now, what they're doing with O'Malley is great. People hate on O'Malley, but I think it's great.
I don't.
And
it makes total sense for me. I'm on this rookie deal. Y'all want me to fight these dudes? Now, granted, he has a possible fight coming up. If he does fight Brian Gallagher, I think that's amazing. I think that's a great fight.
Kelleher's from Jersey, bro. He was Ring of Combat guy and CFFC.
Dude, he's one of those guys that if you've watched his career in the UFC, he's the definition of a tough out. He's going to go out here. He's coming to scrap regardless. So at the end of the day, that's a tough fight. And it is somebody that is a worthy step in competition for Sean O'Malley. So for me, I was never mad. Exactly. And so I'm not mad at what he's doing. And if we're looking at Sean O'Malley's resume, if people are really getting technical with it, dude, he's fucked. Cheeto Vera's on that. Eddie Weiland is on that. There are some really badass dudes that he's been in there with. He's taken the L, but he's also beaten some guys too. So the way he's doing it is he just has such name recognition, and he's talking shit. People were like, they want to get bent out of shape, but he's taking pictures with Connor, looking at like Connor's weed guy. Like, come on, like it is what it is,
Yes, sir.
I'm not totally mad at Buddy, but you had a great segue. Let's talk about this next fight. This one's at 170. We have Michael Morales versus Nikolai Vetenkov. This should be a decent fight. People are looking forward to this one. I'll let you kick it off. You have Morales, who is he is the plus 170. Vetenkov is a minus 205. You have one guy in Morales who is 11-0. You have Vetenkov who is 9-3. Floor is yours, my brother.
Yeah, so Nikolai, I saw that he fought in LFA. LFA is like a legitimate promotion, which I like. I believe LFA, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
okay. I have that in my
Yeah.
notes. I was like, I saw you make a face. I was like, uh-oh.
I'm over here reading comments and stuff.
You're good, brother. You're good. So with Morales, and kind of like how I was saying, he's 11-0, but building people up. So this guy is on an 11-fight win streak.
Yep.
Now, his schedule really isn't that tough, and he's got a lot of finishes. And he's been fighting like pretty, often, twice in 2021 already, 3 times in 2020, 4 times in 2019. So, but they're all finishes. But the record of these guys, not very good. And this could go, a couple of ways. Sometimes, it could go for the good or the worst, like he hasn't really taken that much damage in any of his fights. And I'm sure his confidence is up that he's going to go in there.
He's never been to the third round. Never been to the third round, for those who are asking.
Yes, which, could be a blessing or it could be a curse. But like I said, he's not really taking damage in any of these fights. He's smoking these guys. So, I think, and then this guy, Nikolai, right? He's fought a little bit of tougher competition, I'd say.
For sure. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and although he doesn't have the finishes and stuff like that, I believe that Nikolai is going to win. And he has finishes, but not the consistent, all of his fights are finishes. And, a lot of, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the casuals, they don't understand it. You could have a guy that has a ton of finishes, but you got to look at the opponents that they fought and the opponents that, and who they fought as well. Because you could have a guy that, you know what I mean? So I have, No,
I'm with you on that one. But here, so I'll say this. So I'll say this with this one. I always look, again, we talk about teams, right? Iron sharpening iron. If you look at Morales' fights, even though he's been winning in the second round, he's starting to gas a little bit. He looks a little tired if you're seeing him work. You got Nikolai, who trains over at King's MMA. If the guys at King's MMA are anything, they're going to be in shape, okay?
Yes.
They come in shape. They come ready to fight. And honestly, they're battle tested. Those guys are battle tested because if you want to see some crazy sparring, that's where you go. I ain't going to train with those guys because I don't feel like coming home with a concussion. That's how they get down over there at King's MMA, old Chuto box style. And when I think about that, we have a guy, Nikolai, who has great Muay Thai, real solid Muay Thai, real solid clinch work, real solid knees. He has wins over two UFC veterans, 2 former UFC guys. So obviously he's faced better competition. So for me, I look at all of that. Like you said, I don't buy the padded resumes. If I see these padded resumes, I go with the guy who's fought with the better competition and the better organizations. I have to go with Nikolai on this one as well.
Yep, agreed. And I think I think his experience, and especially being in the later rounds, if it does go into that third round, he's gonna strive in there, because he's being battle tested in the gym. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's certain gyms. Your gym, you got the the ATTs, you have the Jackson Winks, you have the AKs, the 4 to 7. There's this handful of gyms and places where you look at and you say, okay, Kings is one of them. They have one of those Yoda level guys. You know what I'm saying? They have one of those guys there.
Yep, and to say this too, just to counter that a little too. So I'm with you, especially on this fight with the gyms. But sometimes people look at guys from really, really good gyms. Like, let's take American Top Team, for example. How many UFC fighters does American Top Team have? And
I feel that
fighters
way,
from Bellator.
I feel that way about Jackson Wink. I think Jackson Wink doesn't have enough. I think there's more quality than quantity in that one. Or should I say quantity than quality? I'm sorry. That's what I mean.
And the thing is, like, I know guys that are at ATT, American Top Team down in Coconut Creek, Florida, top level UFC guys. It's very cliquey. So, one group trains here, one group trains there. But if you're a new guy walking into that gym, you're not going to be able to work with any of the top level guys or really get any of the attentions for any of these coaches. So in that sense, someone from a top level gym,
Right.
it could be fooling you, because they could be from the gym, but they're not working with any of the coaches or any of the top level fighters, or maybe they are, but they're a sparring partner. I've also been around where it's like that, like, oh, hey, can you give so-and-so 1 round or 2
Yeah.
rounds?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and you get your ass kicked. And
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
say,
Just get handed to
oh,
you.
good job, good job, good job, good job. And, that the main coaches from there aren't telling you what you did wrong or anything. You're basically going in there as a body bag, or like as a body, I should say.
Facts.
So
No, you had it
that's,
right the first
yeah.
time.
Yeah. So, that's just off the top of my head. I wanted just to address that to people just because it's a common misconception. But in this case and in this fight, I do believe that this guy is, especially with his wins over 2 UFC guys, he's getting the
Yeah, he's
attention
more
from the
legit.
coaches.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But I agree with you totally because I have felt that way a long time about Jackson Wink specifically. I was like, out of all those super teams, I was realizing guys were going over there and then just not winning.
Yeah.
And you were starting to see it more and more and more. So, and not just to come down on them specifically, because obviously they have a lot of great guys. And I think super teams and super gyms go up and down. They'll go out there. Look at AK. At one point in time, AK was running the world, right? And now you got teams like, look at City Kickboxing. City Kickboxing currently has 2 champions right now. And they're all in New Zealand. You know what I'm saying? Or wherever their new politicians trying to call them, whatever, they're trying to get called there. But you have that. But all right, let's move on to the main event, which I'll be very honest. I'll be candid with you guys. No idea why this is the main event. I have no idea why the fights. I think the fight before this, I think the one with Santo, all these should have been deserving of the main event, especially when you have a fight with 2 guys who really haven't fought in 2 years. I don't get why they're doing that. And also we're talking about guys with their records are kind of sus. They're kind of sus. And guys, we're here to keep it a bean with you guys. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you and say these guys are the best fighters that I've seen since sliced bread, because they're not. They're really not. They could be. Is there potential? Yes, but I haven't seen enough. I'll be honest with you, I haven't. So let's talk about it. We have Hassem
Arcanda or
Arcanda. I'm gonna get, like I said, I have to like I have to get my
pronunciation.
My pronunciation is cracking beforehand. But he's facing against AJ Dobson. Okay.
Yeah.
Both men are undefeated, 6-0 versus 5-0. It's a pick'em fight. We have a -150, a +130. Paul, what are your thoughts, bro? Where you at on this one?
Yeah. So I like AJ Doberson in this fight. And the reason why is this guy Hassim, or how do you say it, Hassam or Hassem?
We'll give him Hassam, brother. If you're watching,
apologize.
Of
course.
Seriously.
I've never heard of Desert FC or any of the promotions.
He's from Palestine, I believe.
Yeah, and you gotta ask yourself, how is the competition over there? So like I said, I looked at his Tapology, and he has the Habib hat on. So maybe, I saw that. That doesn't mean nothing though.
That don't mean nothing.
I can tell you about Doberson though. I like him, and he's who I'm picking. He's American, so that's my number one reason for picking him. But also too, he's got a ton of finishes. And on top of that, he trains with Matt Brown. It's a legit gym, and he's definitely getting the work. And I just like his style against this guy. And with training with Matt Brown and the guys at the Immortal Training Center, I think that
good wrestling.
Good wrestling, and just tough, man. And just he's tough. They're tough. Matt Brown actually was doing some training in Jersey with one of my buddies, and it's funny, they say in the cage he's very, very mean, but outside he's a very, very nice guy.
I've had Matt on the show a couple times. And I swear, first time I hit him up, I was like, dude, I don't know how this is gonna go. I met him a couple times. Dude, the nicest guy. Especially when I started talking about Westside Barbell. I used to power lift, so I was talking about Westside Barbell. Oh, he was hype. It was good after that.
So I have Doberson, even though this guy Hassim, he has 3 finishes. 3 finishes.
But here's the thing:
3 fights.
He only has Dude, he only had 2 fights since 2012. This is my thing, or should I say finishes? In both of these finishes, 2 finishes since 2012, and they've literally been
Big
against
gap.
nobody. Nobody.
Which is like, how did you get on the Contender Series?
Exactly. I don't understand that, and that's why I was saying, to me, this fight didn't make sense to be where it is. Dobson has been, again, he's one of those guys that's been far more active. 3 out of his 5 fights are via knockout. Look, man, I when I see everything, I see his accolades. Let me see. He did beat a Contender alum. One of the guys that he did beat is a guy who did lose in the Contender Series, but he's at least fighting the guys that are at that level, which I look at and I appreciate. I have to give it to him. And again, this is no shade on Hassan. It's not. But when I'm looking at it, that you only have two finishes since 2012, and then you haven't been active in the last 2 years, how am I going to pick you in a fight? How am I going to, in good faith, in good conscience, sit back there and say, all right, this is what we're going to do? So for me, this is an easy one. I got AJ Dobson.
Yeah, I have Dobson too. About that, dude. People, it's crazy, man. People.
So it looks like somebody's.
Dude, people see that I'm on live and they're trying to call me. I had to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. It's like, it's like insane. Yeah, I have Dobson too. Apologize about that.
No, don't worry.
Yeah, I have Dobson. I think that, just from the gym that he trains at and everything like that, I think that he'll win. I see 2 Free Spirit fight. He's asking me about best memory in Russia.
Definitely Russia a little bit.
Yeah, I trained out there for a little while. So just to answer him, one of my best memories out there was just the experience and being able to. I stayed at the Olympic Training Center out in Dagestan. I met the governor of Dagestan, some top level politicians, and also too, I had lunch with him. This guy, man, it was crazy. They had AK-47s. He had 4 security guards, and then I had lunch with him, and then the wrestling coach, the Olympic wrestling coach of Russia. Yeah, and we all had lunch. And that's probably one of my best memories.
That's fire. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
You know what, man? I've never been, but I've seen a couple, and I've seen a couple images. And what's buddy that always does the fight videos? Why am I blanking on it? Black dude
Harris.
who does. Yeah, Wall Harris. He did it when he went to Dagestan. Dude, beautiful. The mountains and everything over there. Mountain range is just beautiful over there. But and the wrestling and the Bears are just crazy. So salute to you for going out there and getting it cracking with them. That's a damn good time. All right. But with that being said, look, we made our picks for you guys. I think we're both rocking for the main event. We got Dobson. We both have Nikolai in the co-main event against Morales. We're both going with Steve Nugent against Theo Ryan. We also have, obviously, Santo. We're rocking with Santo.
Yes,
and
sir.
Last but certainly not least,
dude.
I had Jacob Rosales. You had Victor Martinez in the opening bout. Man, it should be another good one this week. I love it. All right.
I'm excited.
Anything else we want to get into before we close out for the day?
Just that, some good fights over the weekend with like Romero and Phil Davis and all that stuff. So it's a good week of fights, and I'm just super excited. I'm nervous, man. Anytime like any of my friends fight, man, I get it like crazy anxiety. So, yeah, man.
Dude, I know it is. Oh, it has to be the stomach up here waiting for it.
Yeah, man. Well, and I know how hard he works too. So it's like we're all trying to achieve that same goal. And when it's someone that I'm telling you, man, we both had no fights together, and we came up through the ranks, through the amateur promotion, dead serious, to CFFC, to now UFC. So it's just awesome, man.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. For me, this is like I've been doing, my show, the Fight Podcast, for 4 years now, and I've had an opportunity to speak with a lot of people in this industry. One of the most fun aspects of talking to people are people that are, in the place where you currently are now. That journey. It's way more fun talking to people during the journey, because once you see what's happening, you see the passion, you see the work that goes into it, And all of a sudden, when they're at the top, it's just like, oh shit, here we go.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun, man. So, bro, salute to you and everything that you're doing out there. Real quick,
Appreciate that, brother.
when do you go to Vegas?
So 2 weeks from now, October
2 weeks from
2nd.
now? All right, cool. 'Cause I was wondering how long they had. Cause I remember last time I feel like people were staying going out there like a long time, like almost a month out. But now it's just like the week of, or you go out there.
Yeah, week of, and
Okay.
it's like quick, you go there the 2nd, you fight the 5th, you go home the 6th.
Yeah, you collect the
It's a
check,
business
and
trip.
then you
Yeah,
come
yeah.
home. All right, you're gonna
Yep.
collect that check from that W. Okay, you're gonna collect that contract, and then you're
Yes,
gonna go
sir.
home.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, man. Well, look, always a pleasure, my brother. Real quick, let me get your thoughts on this because the fight will be done by the time it happens. This weekend, UFC 266. We have the
Of
main
course.
event. We have Brian Ortega going against Alexander Volkanovski. Who you think gets it?
So Ortega looks so good in his last
good.
fight. And Volkanovski against Holloway, he's been kind of sneaking away with his fights. I think Ortega.
I had
And
Max won them damn fights, okay? I don't
yeah,
want to hear
yeah.
nothing about nothing. Max
And
definitely won.
oh yeah, man, 100%. And something that I talked about before, man, someone needs to explain to me, okay, how this is, I'm not a Volkanovski fan, and I'm going to tell you why. Someone needs to explain to me how Alexander Volkanovski was 240 pounds or 220 pounds
Bro.
at 5'6" of all muscle. Someone needs to explain that to me. And I'm being serious because I'm 5'6" and I've never weighed over 168. I've never weighed over that, right? So just, it's just like, man, the one thing I don't like in this sport, and obviously, he's never failed a drug test or anything like that, but it's not possible. It legitimately is not possible. And,
Crazy.
and so I would like, and, anyone watching, not being a hater, please look up the picture. We could pull it up the next time of Volkanovski on what he used to look like. He was,
look like a rhino.
yeah. And people could say rugby, but I have friends that do rugby, and rugby is a dirty sport. They don't drug test in rugby. But, it doesn't make sense to me, and it just bothers me, man. So any of these guys that were on steroids or supposedly quote unquote, may have taken some, I never root for. So I'm going to root for Ortega. And, and yeah, man, it's just BS, because I fight at 145 and, and you could, dude, I'm telling you, ask any top level fighter. And especially dude, he weighed 230. I'll say 230 because it's in between 220 or even in the 200s. Like he weighed that later on in his life. It's not like he's like building up or whatever. After puberty and after everything else like that, he put on all that weight and then somehow, some way loses that and comes down to 145. To me, it's just suspicious.
It is super sus. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Bro.
Like I haven't heard anything about that, but it's funny when you bring it up. Look, I'm 6 feet. I use, like I said, I've competed in MMA. I have power lifted at my heaviest, and I'm talking about I'm taking like waking up in the middle of the night to pound protein shakes. Right? At my heaviest, I'm 6 feet tall. I was 208. And that was me trying to gain weight. Like as best I'm talking about powerlifting, lifting heavy, doing it. So and I'll be honest with you, and that was me trying to get as big as I could to cut back to 170, which makes zero sense. If I can do that again, I would just stay within probably about 10, 15 pounds.
Yeah,
but
man.
It's crazy. It's crazy some of these weight cuts, man.
Dude, and like I feel like if people could say, it's genetics or whatever, I would like to think that I have pretty good genetics. I've never taken anything. Dude, I don't even take protein. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But like I've never taken anything in my life. And I just, I'm cut up, and I just don't really understand how it's just not like humanly possible to be able to do that. So to me, it's kind of like, and listen, people say you keep the gains of the stuff that you did back in the day. So he could not be on stuff now. And like I said, he's never failed a test.
Strong.
Exactly. But you keep those gains, and the way your body grows and stuff like that stays like that. You keep a small percentage of the gains that you've made. And I do believe that he, at one point in his life, used PEDs. Not now, right? We have USADA, and USADA has flaws.
Yeah,
But man, I can't support anyone that does, listen, you want to do it in baseball, right?
mhm,
You want to do it in a non-contact sport, be my guest. Nobody's getting punched in the face and no one's getting hurt, you
for
know?
sure,
But,
for sure.
when it comes to fighting, it's just really, it's not cool.
Yeah,
It is not
I,
cool.
I'll say this with that in regards to that. Um, I agree with you. Like obviously, I'm not sure anybody who I know has popped. And that's for instance, that's why I don't call John Jones my GOAT, right? Just
Yeah.
because I know he's popped and hid under the damn the ring and all kind of other nonsense.
Yeah, oh yeah,
But
man.
what I'll say about it is this, and just to not feel like we all just shitting on Buddy. One thing I will say about Alexander Volkanovski is that he has one of the highest fight IQs that I've seen. Okay,
Yeah,
he
he's
goes
tough.
out
Yeah.
there, he's super tough, he's durable, and one thing, granted, I thought he lost to Max Holloway both times. I think the
Yeah,
second one
twice.
was far more egregious than the first. But
Hmm.
with that being said, some of the fights that he did coming up to that, dude, he looked amazing. What he did to Jose
Yeah.
Aldo was dominant, and what
Mendez
and
too.
so and oh my God, the way he knocked out Chad Mendez was so
Yeah.
that this fight is going to be entertaining. It's hard. I want to pick Brian Ortega. It's just hard for me to pick. It's hard for me to pick against Volkanovski because of his game plan. I just feel
Hmm.
like I trust in City Kickboxing's game planning so much. So I just have to say that. And I don't want to say what Ortega did is against Korean Zombie. I don't want to say it was a fluke, but I guess I just have to see more. It was a 2-year
Yeah.
break. We saw what he did against the Korean Zombie, and then that's another like year and a half break. So I
Yeah.
don't know how good he really is. I know what I'm going to get from Volkanovski. So that's kind of
Hmm.
how I feel about that one. And then let's talk about somebody else who we know for sure is clean.
Yep.
Nick Diaz is back. Hell
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
We got Nick
Yes,
Diaz
sir.
back, and Nick Diaz is fighting Robbie Lawler, 17 years in the making. What are your thoughts on this one before we glad? This is the last one before we get up out of here. We've definitely
Yeah.
gone 30 minutes too long, but who gives a shit?
Yeah, I don't mind, man. I mean, dude, this is a great card. If you want to break down these cards or whatever, we'll go live again. This is a great fight card.
We're
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to top it up. I think we might do
Yep.
one tomorrow, you and I. Let's figure
Yeah,
something out. Yeah,
I'm
we'll
down,
break it
man.
down. Yeah.
I think, dude, Nick Diaz coming in against Lawler. I like Diaz. And the thing is, though, and Lawler's on like a bit of a losing streak. He's on a 4-fight losing streak. He's just been active. And I think Diaz not being in for a little bit might play a little bit of a problem for him because his last fight was in 2015. That was, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And then
Against
before that,
Anderson.
yeah. And the last time Nick Diaz won a fight was in 2011. That was 10 years ago. But yeah, it's freaking crazy. But with that being said, I'm gonna go with Nick Diaz in this. I like Diaz, I just off of the fact that I like Diaz, and I really want to see the guy do well. But
Look, man,
I think Lawler's aggression could give him problems in the beginning because when you fight a guy like Lawler that starts quick, if you don't have a good warm up and your eyes aren't adjusted to the blitz, it could be a problem in the beginning.
I'll say this. I do not stand over many fighters, okay? I'm a professional. I sit here, I break down the X's and O's, and I make a pick with my head. This ain't one of those times. I'm going with Nick because I am a Nick Diaz stan. I do not care. The first UFC card that I actually watched, was Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler 17 years ago, way back when. That was my first UFC card that I actually watched. So I am a Nick fan. And also, the only other person I stand over is also Israel Adesanya. So, Katie, I saw you talking shit about the titty in there earlier. I had to let it slide because I was just like, we ain't going to have no Izzy slander on this podcast, on this episode, all right? But all in all, I think it's a great card. It's going to be a lot of fun. We had a lull in September, and in mid-August, MMA is back. Combat sports are back. A lot of fun. My brother Paul, always a pleasure, man.
Of course, man. This is fun, man. And like I said, I have like a great time breaking down these fights. It's fun. Glad we could get people and just kind of, picking our brains on what we see and hopefully making people some money on the bets, if they're betting.
Hey, look, I put it like this. My bets, I'm usually, 2020 and to this point, I'm always around 80-something%. So you want to make some money, I'm letting you guys know.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, look, I appreciate you guys. Paul, as always, my brother, let the people know where they can find you.
So guys, Paul Capaldo on Instagram. That's where you can find me. That's where I'm most active. Made a TikTok. If you guys want to follow me on there, I got some like fight highlights and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you. Whoever just said that Paul's gonna win me some money in October. Yes, sir. I definitely am. And yeah, that's that.
There it is. Well, I appreciate you guys. As always, this is Sergio. Vicente. You guys might know me from the Fight Podcast.
Got
Love
Eddie
you guys to
Alvarez
see
in
you.
here.
Eddie Alvarez in the building. My brother, what it do? I said the real underground king right there.
Yes,
Eddie
sir.
Alvarez. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time, next Monday, right here, noon, LA time, wherever you at, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Love y'all. We'll see you next time, right here on the Scrap News. Peace.
See you guys. Peace.